This is Ketchin Up, a post-book debrief and behind-the-screen look at the Third Gallon Podcast.
Welcome back to Catching Up on the Third Gallon Podcast, where we're all yucks and roleplay and nothing bad ever happens.
Shut the fuck up and show some respect.
And can I mention that at the point of this recording, I still don't know what happened in my absence.
Nope, we just recorded episode 30 of season 3.
I have yet to have my gut wrenched out from me again.
Yep.
It's okay.
Kat gets to discover exactly what was said about, you know, the dead boy. Whatever you guys do.
Yep. So y'all will live it with me.
We just had some very emotionally comforting greasy pizza and soda and cookies.
And funny YouTube videos.
And now I feel significantly less sad after that episode. That was, out of all that, we've recorded some episodes where it's been hard, either because we've been tired, under a tight deadline, like stressed, or like there's just a lot going on. Like there's been some hard episodes to record and put together, but that was tough because I was like on the verge of tears like all the way through it. And I know you guys kept like wanting to do a little hee-hee and a ho-ho here and there, but I had to like crack the whip of, no, we got to be serious.
Wait.
Every now and then.
Gotta be.
We did, though.
Thank God.
Had that tone.
I think that we had just enough silly hee-hee-hoo-hoos to make it
entertaining.
Palatable.
To make it palatable, to make it entertaining, to make sure that people knew, even though tragedy struck, it's still us.
Still y'all.
Well,
I only got in the last few minutes.
You're dead. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if we said this explicitly at the end of the episode, but congratulations, you guys, on finishing book 1.
Woo!
You finished a whole book of an adventure path. It's been a hot minute since we've done that.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
I'm very sad too.
I don't like the way that this one ended. I think that we need to redo. Can we go back like 3 episodes and start over?
I have issues with the end of this book.
Jacob's ready to rip this book a new one.
No, the book was fun.
The book ending.
It was fun.
He's ready to rip the boss fight a new ending.
My biggest worry about my complaint is I could be proven wrong in the future.
Oh, so you're afraid.
But as far as we can tell, let's get into this. Book 1, spoilers if you haven't listened to the end of the last episode.
Why would you be listening to this if you haven't listened to the episode?
We get sent to find somebody who wants to kidnap Gattleby, okay?
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
We beat a gang. We find the person who wants to get Gattleby. We beat that person, and that was the final boss fight. Only to find out at that point in time, he was no longer after Gattleby because somebody else had already figured out Gattleby's formula, and that he didn't know who we were. He didn't even know where Gattleby was because Gattleby was hidden with us. So he wasn't after him. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know who we were. So technically speaking, as far as we can tell, there would have been no consequences to not following up on this man.
That's
Half
fair.
of that book, it seemed, because everything involving the powder keg punks, you know, the titular punks in a powder keg from book 1, punks in a powder keg, everything about them were all related to Shomalizerius. And as far as we could tell, if we had just not gone after them or him, nothing bad would have happened. And we would have been 100% no issues at all.
Yeah, I can say as the GM here with this, I wasn't thrilled about him being the villain of this first book. It felt kind of, I don't know, it just felt like the first 2 chapters. Chapter 1 is you rob the bank and have to get away from it.
Yeah.
Chapter 2
Which was
is
fantastic,
Rescue
by the way.
Gattleby.
Rescue Gattleby, which is a very long stopover at the brewery, but still pretty on
God,
track.
that was so long.
And then chapter 3 is like, hey, we got attacked by powder keg punks. What's up with that? And then that's the boss fight. So it kind of breaks the typical, I don't know. It
was fun. And honestly, ultimately, as long as we enjoyed playing it, that's what matters. It's just weird that the end of the first third of this adventure path ultimately has nothing to do with the overall goal.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I want to interject my opinion into this. I think it was very brave to do that. I think that having us as want to be detectives run into a dead end, a cold lead, that is not something that has ever happened to me in a TTRPG.
But you need to think about pacing.
Yeah.
And in this instance, if you are, I mean, you probably shouldn't just play one book by itself, but that's something you would have happen either after the beginning or somewhere in the middle, and then, but not as the final, like, culminating moment.
Yeah, I like it because you're right. Having a dead end is something that doesn't happen. But I think I agree with Derek was having the dead end be the end of the book is kind of weird. Because like if you think about a good adventure path, and I'm gonna hop and use Giant Slayer as an example. So of course, spoilers for Giant Slayer.
You're not telling me the ending of the whole series, are you?
I'm not. Oh no, because you got to the last book, right?
Yeah.
Every time one book of this 6-book adventure path ends, it leads you into the beginning of the next book.
Yeah.
At the end, at every boss fight or every last area they explore, they give hints on where to go for the next book.
Yeah.
And then the start of the next book, they go there, they do that thing, they get another hint for the next book, and then they go there. We were left by ourselves, no hints of where to go next. Our next book will literally start off the same way this one did. Tell us what to do because we don't know what to do.
You know, I think that there was
did
actually
leave a
a
hint,
lead.
though.
But where?
And mind you, this is metagaming. I kind of feel like we need to find out who leaked the redacted information.
Well, okay, so you know what? That's a fair point. We found out that something was redacted. Of course, my other gripe with that is
What are the whispers?
our beneficiary already knew that. So
Why were we not informed whenever we were the ones that went out to get Gattleby?
technically speaking, our whole group learned nothing new because our benefactor already knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if they didn't know that and they would suddenly be like, holy crap, that's something we need to know. And then they research that, and that leads into book 2. That may have been a bit better because it makes it feel more useful having done what we've done.
You know, I can let you guys in on some insight here because I've never been one to avoid revealing my hand as the GM. What Shoma is supposed to do, and this is why I wasn't really thrilled with the way this book is supposed to end. When it works as intended, you find out Shoma is behind the powder keg punks. There's no way to get any sort of detail out of his backstory unless you interrogate him like you did.
Yeah.
And even then, like, you can only get so much. And like the bullet points because every like module where you interrogate a bad guy, they have like bullet points of what to respond to.
Yeah.
You hit like maybe one of them, which is exactly how it always goes.
Yeah.
I have to like dig in like the 3 different sections of where they put Shoma's backstory to like respond to your questions. But like you're supposed to fight him and then find out that he has been he's just kind of been, I don't know, given up, or doesn't really see the point of doing anything more because he knows that the formula has been reinvented somewhere. And that is supposed to be the setup for book 2. But like that kind of sucks. Is just like you go find him and then you find out that piece of information.
If we had found out that information and Dunsmith had not known that already,
That might have been more impactful.
Much more satisfied with the ending of the book, because as it stands, Dunsmith already knew it, and we didn't have to do any of this stuff.
Well, and that's my bad because whenever you were role playing with me and you were trying to you asked for veracity on Shoma's claim about that, which is valid because he's kind of an idiot. And so I threw in the whisper things as a bit of improv.
Well, he could have been lying or dumb, but
what I'm saying is Dunsmith is technically not supposed to know. That's an alteration I made on the fly.
Okay.
Because I was just like, crap, here's a problem. This is something you deal with a lot with in GMing. Here's a problem. Mm-hmm. These players have no reason to trust Shoma because he's an idiot. And that's valid. But this is the plot point. So I need them to like hook onto that.
Then that does make, I think that makes a very big difference. That means there ultimately was a purpose for us going after Shoma, even if it was to find out that one small piece of information.
Yeah, so I didn't really get to role play it, but the way I changed it in my head on the fly was you guys find out that information. Dunsmith has heard about it, but like, pulls it off the whisper sheets because even if you can't verify it, you need to look into it kind of thing. And then you guys finding out that Shoma has some sort of information about that. The thing is, what the book doesn't give me that I wish it had when we were going through that is how he found out. It never says how he found out. He just says word on the street. But that doesn't make any sense because Dunsmith is like Mrs. Word on the Street.
Yeah.
So how does she not know, but Shoma does?
And didn't you say Shoma was level 3?
He was a creature level 3.
Well, then technically speaking, we would have just as much ability to get that same word on the street as he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. You basically were trying to figure out, how do you know this? That's where I kind of improv that because that made sense to me. But you're right. Having it be a thing that Phoebe was aware of does cheapen the value. But at the same time, it only cheapens it a little bit because it was ultimately a dead end.
Yeah.
Even if you got that one piece of new information, another thread to pull, the way it's set up in the book, you probably would have ultimately found it out regardless if you questioned Shoma or not.
Yeah, yeah. Now, once again, so like overall, end of it could be a little unsatisfying that way, but it was fun. I like the idea of running into a incompetent
Bad guy.
magic bad guy. I know he didn't use magic.
Yeah.
But like typically you go into a dungeon and you fight undead. You find the necromancer at the end and he's been doing his undead thing, and unchecked, he would, rise in power and be a problem. But Shoma was
This guy's just kind of washed up.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
It kind of speaks volumes that the biggest threat, or you treated him as the biggest threat. Alonzo charged him first, right? And you basically made him ineffective from round 1. And it turned out that he was incompetent, and the real big threat was his clockwork fabricator.
His biggest threats against us were things he dug up and threw away.
Yeah.
And that's kind of funny, honestly. That's different.
Yeah.
I'm more than a little salty that my precious baby boy died in a pointless combat to an imbecile.
At least it was a boss fight.
At least it was a boss fight, though. At least it was the big combat of the book,
Yeah.
Because there has been many times where people have died to random encounters.
Yeah.
And those really suck because there is not even a story point. Even if it's a dead end with this guy, it's at least part of
It's at least a story.
Yeah, it's at least part of the story.
I get to be a little salty, just a little bit.
Oh, you have every right to be salty.
So I made the mistake of coming into your room while you were looking at one of the pages on Shoma, and I saw some very interesting words. Can you read that?
Oh.
Yeah, I want to hear.
You screen peeking me while I'm DMing?
It was an
DM prepping?
accident. It was an accident.
You saw dropout, failure, mediocre.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is on the back matter page about Shoma. Basically, let's see, what does the book say? These are words people have used to describe Shoma his entire life.
Oof.
Dang.
Can you imagine just Shoma's mom up here you fucking dropout?
Basically, his backstory is he used to be a prodigy. He wasn't always actually an Ifrit full on. It's something manifested later. I could just read this, though. As a young boy, he was once seen as a prodigy who would change the face of alchemy forever, but his minor genius would also prove his greatest flaw. Lyserius started attending school at Blyther College a full 2 years earlier than most classes. Lyserius was a late bloomer, physically speaking. His small stature and boyish features compounded his childish looks. He was actually really smart and started college early, but he dropped out basically because he was sneaking into labs late at night and doing these experiments to work on his new type of alchemist fire that became Lyserium. This is way back. And he basically burned a lab to the ground as an accident and got kicked out of school.
That praise gotta be for that.
And he actually did that right around whenever his Ifrit blood started to manifest. And he could spark fire from his fingertips, his eyes change color or whatever.
Oh shit, a latent bloodline. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey guys. It doesn't matter if your DM doesn't allow it, but now in Pathfinder you can be a human and then slowly change to an Ifrit.
Pretty cool, actually.
I mean, actually, I think you can take a ancestry feat that does that.
I have a question. Go ahead.
Technically speaking, if you're a variant bloodline, you can still take the human feats and just take a variant one later on.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But basically, the other details about him that you kind of got some from his apartment, like he didn't know about the Norgaber stuff in there at all. He found it. He recently trespassed back onto Blythier College to get some old notes he left at school, and that's when he found out that Gattleby had checked out his notes, and he also heard about him not too long after in the news and stuff.
Yeah,
and he is like convinced that Gattleby used his research to build Pyronite, and so he thinks Gattleby like is stealing his work, and he like confronted him about it. And Gattleby, you've all role played with him.
Yeah.
He was Gattleby about it and snubbed him.
Yeah.
And he saw the demonstration, and he kept trying to like contact Gattleby and kept getting either rebuffed, I say in quotes, or just ignored because Gattleby's an idiot as well, but in a smarter way. So his whole thing is he's trying to get at Gattleby so he can like get his hands on the formula and like take credit for it or whatever.
Plankton.
Yeah, he's got a plankton complex for real. But it's so sad because it's a cool story moment, even if it is a pure like runaway thread that's not connected to Mugland or Loveless.
Yeah.
It's just not tied into the overall plot really well.
You know what's not going to be tied into the plot anymore either?
What?
Alonzo.
Alonzo.
I have a question.
Yeah.
His Lyserium has to kick off. Because when I was building Eleanor and I'm looking through items and all, I happened across Lyserium, which is heckin' expensive.
We happened to find the formula, so it's not widely available, but now Chester can make it.
Yeah. It's basically Alchemist's Fire, but it has no bulk.
Yeah, it's double the price, no weight.
Lighter Alchemist's Fire.
Which, if you're an alchemist, actually isn't that bad of a thing.
Because you're probably not very strong.
Yeah, because you're not very strong. I took a whole feat to get 2 extra bolt just for potions or bombs.
Yeah.
Shoma could have been allied to us if he wasn't just such a prickish incel. God.
Yeah. And the whole thing with the Norgaber thing is I actually don't think, maybe I've misread this because it's been a while since I've prepped that part of it. I don't think he knows anything about religion or Norgaber.
I doubt it.
There's a saying amongst Ifrit people, this called like the secret to change your fate. It's an expression. It's like that carries weight in some Ifrit circles. And he had just a bunch of random coincidences that he took as divine signs when he ended up getting his apartment. And he found that
God wants me to rent this place.
he found the defunct Cult of Norgaber hideout. And he was convinced that like
holy shit,
that like this all a sign and it's going to change his fate or whatever. And it kind of did, but
he died.
He got killed.
I'm kind of shocked. That place should have been built a bit smaller. Halflings love Norgaber.
Oh, it says here that he did discover like texts or whatever, but I don't think that's as interesting as him just like becoming more and more secretive and just buying into it.
Influenced by it.
Yeah. Because it wants him to have, I remember reading this, it wants him to have like found the religious text and start worshiping him. But I don't think that's as cool as him just kind of
being unwittingly influenced by it.
Yeah. And knowing him as the master of secrets.
That's cool. I agree. That is a fun way of doing it. So
I fucking called it.
Yeah, you did. So the div and the portal to the astral plane.
Yes.
Did he do those or did he find those?
So
Accident, I bet.
That's a good question. In one of Lyserius's many ill-fated attempts to gain secret knowledge of alchemy, he opened a magical breach into the astral plane. He hoped to siphon off enough information to give him the secret to Pyronite, but instead only attracted idle musings on alchemical theory from given pseudoform iotons.
He literally stumbled into everything that came at us eventually.
Yeah.
Except maybe the robots and the homunculus.
Yeah.
That's funny. And that is a fun take on it.
I feel bad for him almost.
A little bit, yeah, but like he's a prick, so.
Yeah, he was kind of a jerk.
He killed Alonzo.
Yeah, I have no bad feelings for this dude. He killed my precious baby boy.
No, everything was a mistake, and to a certain degree, including Alonzo's death. But that doesn't excuse him. He was also a very dangerous mistake maker.
He
knew just enough to make really big mistakes.
Yes,
but not enough.
That's it.
To
And did
not make him.
Did he intentionally summon the div, or was that an accident as well?
No, he did summon the div.
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to find.
He was
the
just
actual-
irresponsible about it.
Yeah.
Oh, this I once again, what a fun take on a villain. Just irresponsible and accident prone.
Here we go. Because it doesn't tell me like the first place you see it. Tells me like when you actually fight it, which is dumb. This vengeful Agash div made a pact with Lysirius to destroy Vashon's laboratory in exchange for a rare piece of art. Lysirius promised the div they could destroy. The Agash mistakenly destroyed the lab of Professor Vashon Atweather, a teacher at Blythier College, instead of the alchemist Vashon Gattleby's lab.
My goodness.
But Gatesh insists Lysirius wasn't specific enough. Lysirius is refusing payment, though he never had it to begin with, and has been attempting to hide from the div.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Wonderful villain. You know what he kind of reminds me of?
What?
Just a little bit. He reminds me of the Borderlands 2 DLC.
Oh, the guy
with the bumbling scientist that loves Handsome Jack.
Oh, you're kind of right. No, it sucks because I don't think Shoma was a bad villain because there's a lot of material on him that really fleshed him out. It's just there's nothing that kind of alluded to him. You should have been hearing a hint of him since like the end of part 1, maybe.
Yeah.
Or like a figure that becomes Shoma or whatever. There should have been clues. And maybe if I was, not as behind on things as I am sometimes, I would have tried to drop those in. Like I did with Gattleby having the whole exhibition cutscene or whatever. I was actually planning, I think, either the episode after the boss fight before. Well, I assume we would do a boss fight and then interrogation, or a boss fight and then wrap it up and everything. But like I didn't think someone was going to die.
Yeah.
And I figured like after you dealt with Shoma, I would do some cutscenes to show all this stuff happening. But then Alonzo died, and that was like, well, there's no more room for this. By the time we can have a cutscene with this, it's going to be like
Old
irrelevant.
hat.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it in catching up.
Oh yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah. No, but he was cool. He was a bumbling idiot, fool. Killing him is kind of brutal, but he did super deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions about him that you can think of off the top of your head?
Was he right? Did Gattleby steal?
We can ask Gattleby about that. So
You
let's
can
not do
ask
that
Gattleby.
yet.
But will
about that.
Gattleby tell us the truth?
Well, here's the thing. I'll just save you the work. Gattleby won't remember him because he already doesn't remember him.
He did though.
He
thought
barely remembered
because I
him.
think they were actually classmates at one point in time, but Gattleby's become more of a professor there. But no, Gattleby, if you actually were able to get him to remember it, because I had him not remember it whenever you talked to him, which I think is very in line with his character.
Yeah.
He told Shoma that when he rebuffed him or like snubbed him, he was just like, oh yeah, I looked at them and they were useless.
God, poor
Dang.
Shoma.
So Shoma is like, he snubbed me. He's stealing my work and he's getting all this attention. In reality, he's just mid.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
What's it like knowing that you died to that guy?
We died to the robot. Died to the robot.
Fear the
Still
robot.
sucks.
Fear the machine.
At least the machine is an efficient killing thing. But hey, Shoma's persistent damage did some work to him too.
Yeah, I taking a step back about book 1, I think this good and bad, not every adventure path is perfect, or rather very few are super great. I like this book overall still. I just think, whenever we started running it, no one had made podcast content on it. I think there's a couple other people doing either podcast or streams of it now. But this is something I would have liked to have caught and tried to fix about it. And maybe I should have, but I honestly, sometimes the best I can do is read things and make light notes.
Yeah.
But
totally.
It'd be nice to have him be worked more into it. But I think it's really hard, even if you have the time and creativity, and you shouldn't have to do it. What I like about this book, and you guys as players jump in here with what you enjoyed, but to me, it has the best adventure path opening out of a lot of different ones.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Like the opener, the initial quest, and then the escape through the scrapyard, all gold, solid gold. And then even the chase stuff with Gattleby, it maybe has some pacing weirdness, but it was still a lot of fun.
Oh no, I love the chase stuff.
Yeah. And then the ending part here, I think, I don't know, if it had been alluded to, it could have been a good a good first book boss, but I think it just had some information problems.
I gotta say though that Drow has a point. It's kind of gutsy to make the boss of book 1 a dead end and actually let the players experience chasing a dead end.
Yeah, and it sucks. I can see why it would make some people upset, but I think I'm really excited about book 2. And even if there's only a tiny thread of a lead to pull us over into book 2, I think book 2 is still going to be a lot of fun to play through. Any parts of the adventure path stick out? I know we've all complained about the end here, but any parts of the adventure path so far stick out as particularly good or not so great?
Go Mac.
Oh,
I will love Go Mac forever. Probably one of the best parts of the whole book 1 to me.
What?
And you didn't make him up. He was actually a part of the book, right?
No, he's part of the book.
I love him.
Gomac was what we wanted from King Rip Nugget.
He was everything we wanted from
Rip
him.
Nugget was perfect.
He was beautiful. It's so funny because Jacob called me out for,
oh my God,
he's supposed to be there because you're supposed to knock down that trash tower to block everyone. Yeah. And if you fail, he helps you out.
He's there to save your butts. It's too early to fight Lovelace.
Yeah,
it's like heckin' too early for this.
There's actually
save the players.
There's actually a contingency plan for if you at the bank stay and fight the shield marshals. If you had done that, there's like a bunch of shield marshals that come in waves, and you should not. The game is trying to be very clear, like you should run.
Do you remember how that has not worked in the past?
With Jacob's campaign?
Yeah, these people can be
except at that point,
very stubborn.
We were very high level, and in the case of the bank, we were not very high level.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
People are so stubborn.
If the characters insist on staying and fighting, they encounter 2 shield marshals and one in each alley. Use the trash barrels for lesser cover. Accompanying the shield marshals are 2 clockwork hunters. Ooh. Use the go marshal stat block, blah, 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 blah.
How strong is a shield marshal?
How strong is a clockwork hunter?
They're not that strong. I mean,
that sounds scary.
In the unlikely event that the characters still refuse to retreat and somehow survive this onslaught, the shield marshals pull back and cede the bank to the party, stunned by the Outlaws' firepower.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so they have
back off?
that. They have that planned, but they don't have anything planned for if you go at night.
I know.
That is so. Why would you not rob a bank at night?
I don't know.
If we're supposed to be outlaws, not criminals, why would we choose when innocent people are there? Okay. We're not supposed to be bad.
This is not fucking Payday.
All right. What is the difference between night and day? Is there? Would there be civilians in the bank if we went during the day?
Yeah, so let me tell you exactly what it tells me. Actually, it's per room, which is dumb.
Would there have been less clockwork?
It just says in the main room during business hours, up to a dozen customers occupy the northern half of the room. This is the main room, like with the waiting area and the teller windows at one end. As Dunstan Smith, all these customers belong to Alkenstar's lowest class of white-collar criminal. Few know Muglin personally. Though all respect the Muggles' business, blah, 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 blah. At the first sign of trouble, most bystanders tuck and cower in fear. Basically, there's people there, and they yell at you for messing with Muglin, and there's still going to be the... No, I take that back. There aren't as many clockwork handlers, and you just actually have to fight some of Muglin's, like... hench people, creature -1.
Interesting.
And then here's it. Night encounter. At night, 2 clockwork handlers patrol the inside of the bank, continually scanning the area for intruders. Thanks. That's like it for the whole bank.
Dang.
And here's the thing. The Urkham Dresh, the like dwarf banker lady, is supposed to be a little mini boss who does have the ability to surrender. And there is nothing about what happens if you come in at night for her. Like, because you have to get the key thing from her person. And there's nothing for at night where she would obviously be at home and not in the bank.
So you had to make up the canoodling.
I did.
Loved the way that you went around that, though.
I was just
that was great.
So fucking funny.
There's no place
like,
to
why else
canoodle
would they be there?
like in the manager's office of a bank at 2 a.m.
I'm pretty sure I had
you
to
shouldn't
figure
be
that
caught.
out. Like the day we were recording, I was like, fuck. fuck, they're here at night.
Why would the book assume we wouldn't come at night? That is my biggest complaint.
That is
Here, if I know the person who wrote this book, like interacted with some of our stuff on Twitter, and Vanessa, if you're listening, we love this book.
yes. We
had a
Oh,
great
man.
time.
So much fun.
We unfortunately, the more we like something, the more we talk about it. The more we talk about something, the
more
more,
we rip it
we
apart.
make fun
We
of it.
also like
So no hate to you.
we like it, but we like it so much that we're willing to point out these little details that weren't
We're
as good.
willing
We
to
had
point
high
out.
hopes for it, and we
Yeah.
loved it, but
And
still, no bank
The
robbery
better
at night.
something is, the more glaring something is whenever it fucks up.
There
Exactly.
we go.
And this is like literally in every single pre-written thing. Like remember The Witcher? Oof. Like everything has its
Yeah.
little weirdnesses that a DM has to cover for. Nothing here was major. Like me handling the night stuff isn't a big ask. I can figure that out.
Yeah.
But the only major-ish thing was with Shoma being kind of a dead end.
No. If you want to homebrew stuff, you should be playing 5e.
Oh, you shut up.
All right. Nice simple question.
Okay.
Off the top of your head, did we miss any big treasure?
Oh my God.
I'm just
That's a Jacob
You are
question right
so
there.
treasure focused.
Listen, sometimes it's hard to find everything because people feel perception. I'm just genuinely curious.
I don't think you did.
Okay.
Is Bitey okay?
Bitey?
Yeah.
Bitey.
Bitey the snake.
Oh,
this-
Bitey's probably fine.
He's a snake. He'll find a way to slither out and get into the city.
I mean, you shook up Glaz, but it's not like he's not going to come back and
Oh, yeah.
reclaim
We
some of
didn't
his stuff.
kill Glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't kill Glaz.
I
To be
just want
fair,
to make sure that Bitey's okay.
Glaz is a lot more reasonable of a bad guy than Shoma
He
was.
really is. Yeah.
Is Glass supposed to Glass the
Monkey goblin.
monkey?
I think
With
it's
the
funny.
gun on his shoulder.
It's hard because Lord Glass and Glaz
Yes.
are both characters.
Yeah.
I was like, is Lord Glass? I was like, is he supposed to be a villain? Because he was super nice.
I think it's funny that you guys were running through powder keg punks like it was nothing, and then the moment you got to Shoma, who had a strong hand in killing Alonzo, there was a small moral quandary. I know the difference because the tone was different at
there
that
was
moment.
no moral quandary.
Yeah, I know Chester. But I thought it was funny
only
that you
reason-
stopped.
That Psychier would have spared him is because I guess 2 reasons. They felt sorry because he's such a fucking loser. Somebody else had died already.
Let's see. I'm trying to scroll through here, but anything else stand out that you really liked in this or didn't like or have questions about from the adventures part of thing?
I enjoyed the kind of the country club scene where we had to
very
go
fun.
pretend to be really fancy high class people.
You know what? We didn't talk about this, but Longhorn Lounge is in Skyside in the Capital District. So we talked about
yeah.
Alkenstar lore later because it happened later. But like that was like a really swanky part of town.
You know, I will say, I'll tell you what I liked about this. This, for a first book adventure path, had a very creative way of getting you to fight a wide variety of enemies
In one city.
in one place. Because I mean, we fought goblins, we fought clockworks, we fought people, we fought kobolds. We had a haunt, a machine spirit. We fought mushroom things, a div,
Yeah.
a homunculus, things from the
Homunculus.
astral plane. We got a wide variety of things I just did not expect.
It doesn't feel too out of place.
Yeah, and they made it make sense. Like, because you've played some things like it's book 1 of Rise of the Rune Lords, a lot of goblins,
Goblins.
a lot
Yep,
of goblins,
lots of
A lot of goblins. Book 2 of Rise of the Rune Lords. Ghouls.
a lot of ghouls.
lot of ghouls.
Ghouls.
Book
And
3.
that makes sense. But like the closest thing we had to that was the powder keg punks. We fought groups of powder keg punks 3 times.
Couple different times, yeah.
3 times, I want to
To
say.
be fair, they were also stalking
Yeah.
us.
The bridge.
Yeah, but like even so, they didn't overstay their welcome. We had a wide
Yeah.
variety
That's
of things
another
to
fun
fight.
thing. You were only supposed to fight them twice. Bridge and at Glaz's place.
Then
The
why
one
did
outside the brewery is because you needed to get those clues off of them.
no.
And what's supposed to happen is you fight them first on the bridge and then you run away from that group. And this is another weird thing in the book. It's like assuming that you're going to end up fighting them. Like either going to fail the chase or they're going to you're just going to stay and fight. And you're supposed to get those pieces of evidence off before they get grabbed by the shield marshals. But what happened is you fought the first wave, you saw the second wave coming, you're like, no, and you ran.
Yeah.
And you crushed the chase sequence with all your points you spent.
We like chases.
How could we be expected to fail when they had such a generous point system?
I felt like I was making a mistake because you didn't get those evidence things pointing you towards the powder keg punks. But like I couldn't think of any other way that things could have gone, so I just had them a group find you after the stuff at the
if I remember
brewery.
correctly, that last little group gave us a bit of trouble. Not
Outside
a
the
horrible
brewery?
bit. Yeah.
No,
No, it didn't? Okay.
No.
I thought one of us
You guys had
almost
just
went
hit
down.
level 3, I think, and you crushed them.
Did we just hit level 3?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I let you hit level 3 so you could steamroll them.
The thing that really hurt us was fucking Dewey dipshit.
Yeah, he hurt real
yeah.
bad.
Oh, yes.
Dewey.
Dewey.
Talk about Dewey.
Dewey Daystar.
Fucking nerds out here trying to do
nerds
stuff.
are the most dangerous people
God.
in Alkenstar. Who would have known?
I will say, when you were berating me about playing a druid in this
Oh
game,
my God.
things like Dewey Daystar and other like druid essences in here were why I was like, I don't know if it'll fit, because if you're
it's-
someone who wants to like bring nature into Alkenstar, you would like be like, guy's right.
It would have fit perfectly.
You'd have been like, Dewey, you my new buddy.
I said, book 1 had no major druid issues.
I don't know. The main reason for being real about druid not working is like all the items you get in this game are for like inventor, alchemist, and gunslinger.
Yep.
That's like everyone in those classes is going to get the coolest items. And then there's other items that more generally apply. But if you're a druid, you already have like a limited set of things you can use, and you're not going to get anything.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what a druid could do?
Cast a
They could lead the way with reincarnate.
reincarnate the ritual. Yeah, dude, you guys should have heard like the night after Alonzo died.
I'll be very
Jacob
clear
was going
about
through the
this.
stages
Oh, man.
of grief,
No.
and he hit bargaining so hard.
I said we should not bring him back, but if we wanted to try, could we do it? And the answer is simply no.
Well, here's the thing. We walked
He
through the
bargained
spells.
more than me.
I was like, look, Raise Dead, 6th level spell. That's not available to you.
I just love theorizing Pathfinder. I had to know if it was at least possible.
And like, even if it was, you couldn't afford it.
Exactly. We could never afford it.
But what I said the very controversial thing apparently of like, well, dude, it's Alkenstar. Like, you probably can't find someone high enough level magic wise who casts this, and you went on such a tangent rant about this.
We have
even though you knew you couldn't afford it.
because like I said, I love to theorize. We had a difference of opinion in that.
Oh my
okay.
It boiled down to,
But,
I was like, maybe, like, first off, not a lot of high level spellcasters here at all. And secondly, even if there's like one named NPC cleric who was of the right level, but like I was like, well, I know mechanically clerics can just prepare any spell from their tradition, so it's divine. But I was like, but they're NPCs and you're PC, so yeah, for PC that makes sense. And an NPC, if you are a cleric of Bry and you've been preparing spells around like inventing and like one set of knowledge, suddenly praying to your god for Raise Dead, don't think that should necessarily be a thing.
Doesn't really
you can
make
do.
sense.
Yeah.
And Jacob was arguing, I was like, well, this is the thing, because again, they're NPCs, they're not player characters. I get it. Mechanically, it would work. A player character, I would not sweat it. And the other problem is a like 13th level cleric or whatever it was, you're not going to have the connections to talk to.
Derek did tell me, though, that if we had all decided to go on a spirit journey to try and find reincarnate, he would have humored the idea.
I would have humored it. If you would have wanted to, like, if Chester wanted to pursue a lead on finding a druid from the mana wastes who knew, because reincarnate's not a spell, it's a ritual.
It's a ritual.
If you wanted to like do that, I would humor it. I wouldn't guarantee you it would work.
But we also didn't have the skills necessary to cast it. You have to be an expert in nature.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trained in nature.
Yeah.
We would just
Al
have
had
to,
a level.
We would just have to go and find somebody that
Fortunately,
good.
Al was the reason we'd be making
I
this
know.
I would have humored it. I love little side quests off of adventure paths because they're the funnest to write. They have like a little tight,
I would have
thing.
loved for Alonzo to come back as an automaton.
or just like an elf
Cat
or a dwarf.
folk. Hey, if he came back as an
Actually,
elf, that would make
You should look
Daddy
at
happy.
That would have made Halidor's father very
you should
happy.
look
He would
at
have
reincarnate
approved.
in 2E. It gets real fun.
It's really fun.
It's based off of the area that it is cast in.
Yeah.
So there's no one set chart for it. It's up to the DM to make like a quote unquote chart.
I'm sorry, but now I'm just imagining if he came back as a full elf, Eleanor would be like, "Oh, my love, I missed you so much. Get away from me, you filthy half-breed."
I just imagine Alfredo would be happy about coming back as a full elf, but Kat would not be because of the D6 ancestry hit die.
And then let's not forget the very real chance of coming back as a flesh warp.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Or a, can I hold your phone? Can I play games on your phone?
Oh, Rhino guy.
All right. I don't know. They're not quite this part of the world,
Well,
but
they
yeah.
You could have been a catfolk.
Weren't they
A
Alkenstar?
flesh warp.
No.
Oh, okay.
If he had come back as a flesh warp, I'd have like, kill me now.
You
Kill
could
me
have been.
again.
Kill me
You could have been a catfolk.
Pull a Derek.
That wouldn't have bothered me nearly as bad as a flesh.
We could have been kitties together.
But
Okay,
no, he's dead.
We could have done that thing where we look at each other from across the room and then start like sideways walking.
Come back as a dwarf.
Alonzo would have made a good dwarf. Speaking of Alonzo, though, is there anything with his backstory? I know we had a lot worked out to handle the past episode, and we didn't get to all of it. We basically just talked about his pocket watch. But we had the funeral, which is mostly what you and I had discussed, and we had the pocket watch, but we didn't get into all the other stuff that you talked about there, like the instructions he had left behind with Phoebe, stuff about his mom, and the lockbox he left behind as well for Eleanor.
I don't know if I'll spoil the Eleanor thing because I might still mention that. Her picking up something that he left her, the lockbox. That might be something you see in the next episode when she comes into the group. Mm-hmm. But Al had more backstory than just that. He had a father who had passed away because his father was a bit more elderly and wasn't the best of health. He has a mother who is still alive, but they're somewhat estranged because Al reminded her far too much of her past husband.
And he's dead now.
Yeah, and he's dead now too.
Yeah, that's pretty estranged.
They were pretty estranged to begin
I'm so
with.
sorry.
Mama? Is that you?
So Al, had I gotten any fervor with Al, I was going to have him eventually write like a letter to his mother, just to talk to her or something. Because
Hey there, you miserable bitch. I'm still not my dad, but you abandoned me anyways.
he owns his dad's shop and all, so he had a letter that would have gone to her. But no, he would have eventually ended up writing more, mentioning Eleanor much more.
Wouldn't
character.
shut up about her.
Apparently, according to
He
you
might
guys.
have gotten into how he learned quite a bit of what he knows from her too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't want
he
to.
had a whole backstory.
I don't want to spoil Eleanor because we've only just introduced her and we haven't got to see her in game mechanic terms. But I think I'm very excited because we haven't talked about the class, and we can leave that until we actually get to see her, I guess, in action. But it's so cool. It's very fitting for Eleanor being Alonzo's fiance, I think.
Oh yeah, you can totally tell why he was into her when you actually get to meet her.
Yeah.
I'm
I had
gonna
so much
seduce
fun
Eleanor
building
now.
her.
So what?
I'm gonna seduce Eleanor now. I will marry Eleanor.
Also, I need to note that when I was building my characters, I had 2 backups potentially made, and one I hadn't decided a name for, so its profile name was Al's Dead.
Yeah, I got.
Oh my!
I got sent that.
So Derek just opens up his stuff to give me the free archetype and the name of my characters. Al's dead now.
I was dead.
There's like 2 at the
dead
bottom of
now.
our Hero Lab campaign: Eleanor and Al's dead.
Let me just rub some salt in that wound.
So,
New new naming convention.
I joked. I clearly was joking when
Oh
I
my
said
goodness
this. I clearly was joking
Oh,
when I
crap,
said
what?
this.
Oh my
but,
God.
One of the things that I talked to Kat about on our way home after Alonzo died, I was just like, well, we could turn him in for the reward.
Oh my
I got so mad at
I'm
him.
just saying,
you sent
500
me a
gold
message.
is 500
I sent
gold.
Derek a message. Derek, don't you dare let Jacob turn in Al's body for the reward. You can't let him do that. That's awful.
Psych here would have had an issue with that.
Thank you,
Just a
Psyche.
little issue.
Oh, that's so dumb.
I don't think that was Chester speaking. That was Jacob
No, that
speaking.
was not Chester
100%.
speaking.
That was
Jacob.
Jacob's dragon greed speaking.
I thought that, and I started laughing. I was like, that'd be so cheesy, and the DM would not let it work.
No, I'd give you so much shit for that. Oh my god, it did get a good giggle.
500 unexpected gold would have been game breaking.
That would have been enough to bring Alonzo back.
Shut up.
Oh my god.
It's like, no, but I had names for his parents and everything. So yeah, I had some backstory for him.
Yeah, you did good. Man, everyone's going to think we wrote this into this thing.
Can I please go on record and say we did not write this in?
I
did not want Al to die.
I will go on record saying I wrote this. I just didn't tell anybody.
I built this stuff because he had gotten hurt so much in each combat, but I had built it to try to like have character moments and like actually try to develop something. Not because I anticipated his death. I didn't want it to happen. Those tears were real.
I am so fucking pissed. I took such good care of him and that bitch died.
That is why Chester will not write a letter till after he's
Those
dead.
on-air tears were very real.
Yeah.
We happened to capture my first ever permadeath character death live on air. So
That's
no,
for you, audience.
I did not plan this. You experienced something with me.
I hope that we handled it in a respectful way.
Well, you'll find out whenever you listen to episode 30.
I have to wait so long. So no, it was not planned. It will sound planned. I cannot deny that, but I did not want him to die.
I'm still editing the episodes up until that fight, and it's just, we foreshadow it so hard.
It's gut-wrenching to listen to.
And we have no idea.
All these jokes about his death, and I'm like, I literally, the first time I played an episode afterward, I stopped the whole thing and shout into the void, but Al's dead.
Like, you're literally joking about the letter in the last episode I edited, which is like 27. You're joking about, oh, you're doomed us all. I've consented disturbance. And like, he dies.
I have content.
I have content. Al's dead.
Took such good care of him. And you gave him so many chances to live. He just died.
We should talk about that, Jacob, because in your bargaining, you found out something important about hero points that I think we should address.
Hold on one second.
He did die, though. If we messed up and we're too generous, he still died.
Oh, it's way too late.
Derek and I spoke about this, and we think Derek was very generous.
Oh, totally. I will not deny that.
And I believe, because I haven't went back and listened to it myself, I won't hear that until the episode comes out, but I believe that it balanced out in such a way.
I don't know about this conversation, so please enlighten me.
I will read it
rules.
to you.
Here we go.
Yeah, I got it right here. Hero points. Spend 1 hero point and roll a check. You must use the second result, the fortune effect, blah, blah, blah. 2. Spend all your hero points, minimum 1 to avoid death. You can do this when your dying condition would increase. We got that right. You lose the dying condition entirely and stabilize with 0 hit points. We got that right. You don't gain the wounded condition or increase its value from losing the dying condition in this way. We did do that. So every time you used a hero point to go from dying to stabilized, we increased your wounded. That being said, I believe there were multiple times that you got stabilized without using a hero point, which would have increased your wounded and whatnot.
It happened
I don't
once,
think it would have changed the outcome.
It wouldn't.
If it changed anything, it would have been like what we talked, I believe, last episode, and it would have given you maybe another chance, but all it would have been was a chance.
Yeah,
he was going to die, unfortunately.
A couple more rolls. Because the thing is, if we got this right, it would have given you a couple more maybe rounds worth. But what I did do is whenever we used bottle caps, I didn't tick persistent damage those turns.
Yeah.
And the problem is
that
whenever,
balanced.
even if you had used the hero points like 3 times instead of bottle caps, you would have gone to 0, no dying, no wounded, gone back to dying from persistent damage because that was your main problem.
The persistent damage was really what.
And the other thing that was merciful was when you were dying, Derek had you roll to stop your persistent damage.
When I shouldn't have been able to.
No, before you took damage. You're supposed to take the damage first.
Oh, dang.
And then roll.
He would have died way sooner.
So he gave you, because there were a few times you actually got rid of your persistent damage. It's just things would happen to give it to you again.
No, I got really excited decided when I got rid of them and then promptly got them back.
Yeah. So there were a couple of times where you stopped it where you should have been hurt and then it stopped. And that would have made a difference.
I mean, I feel like we did a pretty good job. It was a high emotion, high stress moment. I feel like we did pretty good getting 90% of the way there. We'll see whenever I actually go edit that episode. But regardless, even if it is a mistake, he's dead. Hand off the chess piece.
It wouldn't be the only time a podcast has had a character die, and they shouldn't have. But I wouldn't count it as something that shouldn't have happened. I think even if we'd have played it perfectly 100%, he still would have passed.
Yeah.
I couldn't roll past a 10 to save my life in that episode.
And audience, even if we got it wrong, you have every right to ridicule us for ad infinitum for getting a rule wrong. I actually made a note to myself about something that you guys were very fortunate, in my opinion, to avoid in the adventure. Is you know how you fought the robots in the homunculus and you turbo nuked the homunculus?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you went to the sleepy nighttime room afterwards.
Uh-huh.
So you didn't let him, but that homunculus is like one goal in life was after get attacked, go to that room and hide in the drawer that triggers the trap.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And it could have been bad because it wants you to run in there and then you trigger the trap, the door shuts and locks you in effectively, and it won't go down and you will go to sleep and it'll beat the shit out of you.
Woof.
That could have been real bad.
That's ruthless.
I'm just glad we managed to avoid my poor boy getting disassembled by
a game
the automaton.
who took away coup de grace because players don't like being coup de grace. That's twice at the end of this book where a creature is fully intending to get us knocked down and beat the crap out of us until we're dead.
Or dismember.
Yes, that's one of them.
Let's see. When it sees the characters, it immediately warns its master, who begins to prepare for their arrival. Lysiris orders the homunculus to fly into the bedroom and hide.
Is the homunculus like an alchemical familiar? Or is that like a separate thing?
It's like a construct thing.
Okay, yeah.
And it is to stay hidden until this trap sets off and then try to finish off the intruders.
Woof.
Yeah, that would have been... He's not very strong. The homunculus is like a creature 1. But if you are, asleep.
Yeah, any damage increases your dying level.
Well, you wouldn't be dying. You would just be unconscious.
Well, but then he'd
hit you. You wake up and be prone, and you'd have to roll again to not go to fall back asleep. It would suck. I don't think all of you would have gotten in there the way it was going.
Yeah,
but it could have very easily been. He runs away to that room. You're like, all right, forget him. Finish the handlers. We all go in that room. Trap goes off, all of you fall asleep, and he starts beating the shit out of you.
TPK.
Oh
dang.
my God.
That was the thing I was the most worried about in this last dungeon.
Really?
Was him just slaughtering you in your sleep. I didn't worry about the fabricator at all. I didn't worry about it until it critical to Lonzo and sent him into Night Town.
Critical Chester twice.
Yeah, he did.
Chester survived those criticals, so shut your face, Jacob.
Barely survived.
Yeah, you barely did. You got lucky.
I did get lucky.
You rolled good. As Jacob told me, don't be mad at yourself, Kat. The dice tell the story.
They do.
Just because you can't roll doesn't mean you messed up.
It just means the dice. I mean,
I don't believe that's how I said it, but close enough, I suppose.
Just because you fucked up so immensely.
It's you can't.
It's like, I can't be mad at myself for having no luck with dice. Jacob's like, no, the dice tell the story. You didn't mess up. You had less than a 50% chance.
You love math. You know how math work.
Yeah, but the thing is, that small percent chance should not be as impossible as I made it.
But you kept making it on the dying checks and upping
and then
it.
failing on the persistent damage.
Yeah.
Persistent damage, y'all. It's a killer.
It'll kill you.
Did we miss any fun NPCs? Because
No.
I don't feel like there was any way that we could have missed any fun NPCs, unless the people at the bar.
I think people at the bar is pretty cool, but there's no story stuff to get you there. I think after rereading the end of the book, it's more like, hey, the bar could be a cool, fun thing for in between adventure downtime stuff with all these NPCs. I think it's more of here's a toolbox to make stuff if you have downtime in the adventure.
If we haven't so far.
Well, we're going to have downtime in between books.
Yes.
Jacob's so excited
I've
for the
been
downtime.
I'm going to make so many bombs. This would make no difference because I'm only level 4.
Only level 4, says the guy whose first character made it to level 4. I'm just going to rub that in every time.
We cannot have this happen to Jacob because of Drender.
I know your pain, and you mock me.
However, I did get to build a level 4 character, which felt really cool and powerful.
Oh, it's like I sent you a message whenever you finished up Eleanor.
I saved a picture of it because it made me so happy and proud.
Oh, what was it?
It's like I would build those two characters. You're like, they're both good and they'll fit the story. Not gonna lie, but reading over Eleanor's abilities, it's like looking at a shiny new Ferrari.
I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
And that was like, dang, is it so cool that it got Derek excited?
I was trying so hard to be like, you do whatever you want. Don't worry about filling
You're just
a
like,
role.
please play this character.
Don't worry about filling a role
character.
in the party. You don't worry about like that stuff. We'll make it happen.
Because you should know the first thing I built was the tankiest tanking fighter I could build.
Figured.
You do sort of need to worry about
I was like,
that.
well, you don't double up on a class, right? Like that, maybe not that, but like, if you wanted to play like another, you talked about Eleanor potentially, one of the things was, I don't know if I want to say it because I want to let the audience find out.
Because then you'll know what one thing I didn't pick.
Yeah, but like one of them was like more, yeah, obviously you built the tankiest tank, but another thing was like ranged, and you could make the argument, well, like a ranged thing wouldn't be very good.
Yeah, because I did play around with a range.
But I was just like, you don't worry about it. Like it'll work out. But like whenever you finally settled on what Eleanor was, I was like, goddamn, Bill's pretty cool. And I was trying not to influence you, but I had to be like, I'm not gonna lie, that looks pretty sick.
But don't worry, we will bury her next to Alonzo whenever she dies.
Oh my god!
Thanks.
And we'll bury Chester next to him too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live forever.
No. If we lose Chester, we're taking his body to his mama.
You got that right.
No.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to take a body.
Dude,
Yes, they're going to take a body.
We'll take ashes, probably.
They could bury him on his body.
They could put him next to the ash pile.
Burn him.
They could put him next to his
pile that was his father.
Because he's part vampire, he has to end his ashes. I see how it is.
It's like it's like Kat and I said.
I'm so glad that we're not doing another season.
We'll just put your ash pile next to your daddy's.
That's right.
Chester meets his dad in the afterlife.
Oh.
They ashed me, Dad.
What are you talking about? His dad's alive.
If we ever had to roleplay you guys handing Chester's remains to his mom, that would be
gut-wrenching.
So sad. That was already really, really, really bad with Eleanor, but that would be like
his mother?
Yeah. There's a difference between
That's a big oof.
somebody who has loved him for a while, who probably grew up
As
with him,
someone who raised
and
him.
someone who birthed and raised this man.
Oh, did you want to roast me? I know we talked about this at the end of last week when we recorded about how I handled that encounter. I know you were very upset about it in your bargaining phase of depression.
I'm trying to think about which time.
I know what you're talking about.
You not weakening the enemies?
I did not weaken the enemies like I normally do
Let's
for the last encounter.
Let's
I've
just
already
say I
got
went
this
through
out
a
of my
large
system.
rage stage about that, so I'm not going to comment.
Weakening the enemies would have been nice. Is all I'm saying.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it would have helped,
'Cause,
to
you
be
know,
honest.
4 people's different than 3 people.
Oh, I agree. But well, like I said, I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
Persistent damage would have killed him anyway.
When I was
real.
prepping it, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. What happened is you guys focused on Shoma, and I thought you guys would throw 2 electric bombs at the fabricator and just trash it.
Yeah.
But it didn't end up happening.
How about this?
Because I thought Shoma would be a threat.
What
Yeah.
level was this encounter?
It was severe 3, I think. I'll double check that.
Boy.
Yeah, because it's a boss fight.
At least
the
my
final
boy
boss
died
fight.
in a big old hard fight.
It was severe 3. The Clockwork Fabricator was a creature 4, and Shoma was a creature 3. And as we proved out, he was weak as hell.
Yeah.
And the Fabricator was kind of tough, but it's not like you haven't fought Clockwork stuff before. And the one, I think, electric bomb you did hit it with, like, really hurt it. So...
All right, so enough negativity. We can blame whoever we want.
Derek.
Choose a favorite moment from this season so far. I'll go first. I have a lot of favorite moments, but the first one I thought of was being lucky enough to have a bomb on Chester that dealt the weakness to those Iotons.
The mind damage.
Yeah, the thrill I got from being just so happening to have the right bomb to hurt them made me feel really nice.
I bet.
I got one. It's off the top of my head. My first attack in combat as Alonzo.
Oh, man.
Critically and destroying that clockwork handler in one sheer go brought me more joy than I need to describe on this podcast.
That was a beautiful moment.
It gave me hope that, like, after having played the rogue in Pathfinder 1E that was not as well balanced, that they had balanced the class.
Oh, that was really good. Psycheer, do you have one? I think I have one for you.
Being able to send off the spirit within the machine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what I was
Such a
thinking.
Psycheer perfection moment.
Oh, man.
And DM.
Go, Mac.
Of course.
Go, Mac.
Go, Matt.
So tell us why killing Alonzo was your favorite part of this.
Actually,
I hated
monster.
that moment.
He might have
that's
been
what
more
I was about to
traumatized
say.
than me.
Do you have a least favorite moment from this season?
Every time you question a plot hole that I didn't account for.
Fair enough.
So, like, we're going in at night. Who is Shoma? Who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you? Kat, what was your least favorite moment?
Go ahead. Say something different. Say your second least favorite.
I'm sorry. It's a fair question.
I just needed to make you react. Let's see.
Let's see.
I honestly enjoyed a lot of the combats and such. Okay, I was disappointed that we didn't have a second chase scene.
Oh,
We
yeah.
ended up
fair.
fighting the Agash, and it was really cool.
Well, we all know
but
whose
I
fault
love
that was.
chase mechanics.
I just figured you'd say Alonzo's dead.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate that, but you said my second least favorite.
I said
Yeah,
least.
I said second because we all.
okay.
Yeah.
We all
okay.
We all
knew.
know.
Okay.
I mean, I think it made amazing story, though. Don't get me wrong. Just
Bittersweet.
bittersweet.
Drow.
Yeah.
Least favorite moment?
I hated it whenever Alonzo fucking died. Because I took such good care of that bitch and he died.
Yeah, that's a close
It's
second.
content, though.
Close
Remember?
second for me.
Yeah, I remember one of my favorite moments. I have a lot of smaller ones. I love Chester's wife. I love every bit about Chester's
I miss.
wife.
Oh yeah.
God
oh,
damn.
Jester
Chester's
doesn't use
wife.
the whip enough.
No.
he doesn't.
He hasn't had a reason to yet. The whip is mostly there for trip, grapple, disarm, and I haven't had a reason to use those yet.
Yeah.
Also, I think whenever you guys were in the brewery, one of the many things you fought, I think, was the wasps. I can't remember. There's like 3 things in a row you fought in that fucking room.
I'll go for
There was
another one.
Brewers, oozes, wasp.
Oh, the brewers! When I got Alonzo
Yeah.
drunk, that was really
hilarious.
fun.
God.
I didn't like having to get my poor boy a gun after all my slamming on it. I needed a bludgeoning weapon,
Yeah.
and no bludgeoning weapons like for melee made sense. So I had to suck it up and get him a gun, and it just kind of hurt inside.
But like another moment when you were in the brewery, whenever you couldn't see the wasp token, and I moved and went hi, and you freaked out.
Yeah.
That token was terrifying
funny.
to look at.
Oh,
Boy.
swarm of angry wasps. Oh man,
Got my boy drunk.
This is a good book. This is a good book.
It is a good book, and it's been a very fun. I look forward to the second one. Hey, we want to tell the blob what
Yeah,
the title of the second book
yeah.
is.
So the first book was called Punks in a Powder Keg.
How apt.
And the second book is called
Rogues in the ground.
It's called Cradle of Quartz. I think it's going to not be anything like you expect it to be.
That's the thing. I literally have no idea what to expect now.
What you find
I
in
mean,
this book may shock
legit,
you.
no questions. Like, I don't know. I'm playing a whole new character for crying out loud. I'm starting a new book with a new character, so I got no expectations.
Color me shocked already.
But
You get to know us again.
I'm
It's
very
going to be
excited
kind of
for it.
fun.
I'm very excited for it. I know we've talked about what we want to do with the show, and I'm in between wanting to do 2 books because I could very easily alter the ending of book 2 and have a nice, like, really good narrative ending. But Jacob really wants to play 3 books.
I mean, if we're going to do 2, we might as well do 3.
I know, but
at that point, we're more than halfway done with an entire adventure path.
But you're a player and I'm the GM.
You're going to GM anything we play.
I knew. Shut up. But we'll see. I'm leaning towards doing 3, at least as of this moment. I go back and forth like every few hours.
But my inner completionist, she needs it to be completed.
What I feel the most bad about is apparently Oracle's Psyche really pop off at level 10. And if we finish book 3, you'll get to level 10 like before the end. And like So you would get like
pop off at level 10?
well, like they're good, and then they like pop off at level 10.
Okay.
That's
So,
fine.
It would kind of suck to like get to God status and then wrap up the book, or maybe it'd be great. Who knows? Well, one other thing I wanted to talk about here before sending off this beautiful catching up is we talk at length in other seasons and in this season about how much we play first edition, and now we can like definitively say that we have a lot of 2E under our feet. Like we are well versed in the 2E space. Not experts necessarily. We're trained. We're now trained in 2E.
I like that. What a nice nod.
What would you say? How do you guys feel as players between the two systems? I know when we first looked at 2E a long time ago, the big complaint was, well, there's a couple rule books, but it's not nearly as vast as 1E. But that's kind of changed recently. So how do you guys feel between the two systems?
I might be the most positive. I prefer it. The gameplay is a little easier to learn. The character building is better for beginners. There aren't as many, quote, trap options that can cause you to fail without realizing you're failing. I like the action economy being cleaned up. I have very little negative to say, if any. I love 2E.
Yeah, I think I really like how you don't have to pick ability scores with like a point buy in 2E if you're talking about like being beginner friendly, because it kind of plays itself out as you pick your ancestry and your class and your background. That like all those pull the ability scores together for you, and then you have like free choices as well. And I wasn't sold on it at first because I really liked point buy as a way to even the playing field, but the way they've done it is kind of brilliant. So that's really nice. Jacob Drow, how do you feel about the two game systems?
I, off the top of my head, cannot think of any complaints about 2E. I like 1E better.
That's fair.
Jacob likes the depth.
I really like both of them, but if I had to choose one to play, I've got like a dozen ideas I've not got to do in 1E yet, so I want to do it. And you're right. While there's more options in 2E now, it's really hard to beat the archetype system that 1E had, that you could play the same class 20 different ways.
Yeah.
And it would feel different each time you did it.
Although you are deeply thirsty for a rule book coming out, I guess when this episode's released this year, 2023, Rage of the Elements.
You guys watch out. If Chester dies at just the right time, I'm going to get a character not made for this adventure path whatsoever.
Just because you want to try
I want to be
class.
a kineticist so bad.
Yeah.
I loved kineticist in 1E. Way too complicated. Way too annoying.
Overpowered in Reign of Winter the way you did it.
Specifically in that one, overpowered. Not the best written to be understood.
Yeah, no.
But I love it.
What I would love to see from you, Jacob, is you running 2E as a GM, like running 1E like a one shot or a homebrew game, and then running 2E within like a couple months of each other.
Oh yeah, no doubt 2E is easier.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Because I'll go ahead and spoil my opinion. As a GM, 2E is like way easier on me as a GM, because in 1E I think we talked about this a little bit, where I have to like do a lot of look at what the characters can do, look at what adventure path I'm playing, and make some small adjustments to actually make the encounters not a just wipe out every single time.
Yeah.
And I don't ever have to worry about that. I just kind of like, all right, this should be roughly this difficult according to the encounter rating, and it is. Drow, what do you think about the two game systems?
So I really appreciate 2E for the fact that it is more approachable than 1E, and for the fact that it is not 5E. I think that okay. I think that
fight.
I love 5E.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite games was 5E. However, I think that people need to not only play 5E.
That I can agree with.
And Pathfinder 2nd Edition existing, being easier than First Edition, being, dare I say, more homebrewable than First Edition is grand.
I'd agree with that. It's more on the GM side. There's a lot less hyper-specific rule systems for every little thing. Like there's a lot of rule systems for a lot of things, but they're more like, here's good guidelines. Use this table to reference DCs. Instead of like everything in 1E was like there was like a set DC somewhere tucked away that you had to find, and here it's just like, okay, well, here's like the types of checks you could run, but you can change it if you feel like it. Reference this table based on character level and difficulty for DCs. And that was really nice. Once you get used to the workflow, it's better, because I liked one that you like had to find those DCs and that they were very specific, but they didn't always fit. And now you can make them fit, and the system really helps you get pointed in the right direction. Yeah, I really like what they're doing. I think we can all agree that it's a lot more easy to approach, especially if you're newer to the system, and it just makes a lot more sense.
Which is why I like it better.
One of my biggest gripes about 1E is the action economy, and like 2E has just been revolutionary.
It's beautiful. 2E's action economy is, dare I say it, a work of art.
The one thing I still have...
Stamp of approval, chef's kiss.
One thing I still have problems with in 2E is the initiative system. I know why they do it, and I know it makes sense whenever you do it correctly, but like sometimes it's just really complicated to remember, like, oh, you roll perception and then the trap has a stealth DC, and then like whenever you get into initiative, your perception is the initiative with the trap. Like, but we missed that with Alonzo and the sleep thing. We had the trap like roll initiative. It should have been using Alonzo's perception. We miffed that, and we do that a lot because I'm not used to doing it. But yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, this has been a long-winded catching up. Y'all ready for book 2?
I am.
I'm excited.
Thank you, everyone, for attending the last episode of the Third Gallon Podcast.
We're going to miss you guys.
Oh, don't you tell me that. I put
Congratulations.
hours of work into... I would... Come beat you up.
Riot. Well, we hope you enjoyed book 1, audience, Blob, as Jacob refers to you. We're really excited for book 2. I'm very excited for book 2. I think it's going to be a wild ride.
I can't wait for Quartz.
Is that the titular Quartz?
The titular Quartz?
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Book 1 was a wild ride for us, and it ended on a just tragically sad note.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, to Alonzo and to a better book 2. Raise your drinking devices. That's your dice box, Jacob.
My can's empty.
I have what appears to be a Pizza Hut cup full of water.
Drow's raising a like tin of pirouette rolls. To Alonzo.
You died better than anybody else.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Catching Up. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing us. If you want to see more from us, check out our website, thirdgallon.com, or follow us on Twitter. We are at Third Gallon, that's THIRD Gallon. We are also on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook with the same handle, at Third Gallon. We also publish a video version of this podcast on YouTube, which you can find on our channel, The Third Gallon. The theme for Catching Up was composed by Alexander Nakarada, and you can find more of his work at serpentsoundstudios.com and support him at patreon.com/anakarada. That's patreon.com/ANAKARADA. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.